Hey guys, how you doing? Ron Tonight here. Here we have build log 6 of the CASE Labs Mercury S3 Mini-ITX build. What you saw last, we have just about everything is tubed up. What we need to finish up is some of the pieces that we have left here. We needed to put a backplate onto the GTX 780, which has come in. We also have some sleeving and some cables that need to be done. We have to sleeve some of these UV LED strips from Promethean Mutations, and then we also need to create the power cable for the GTX 780, and will be sleeved with all that MDPC sleeving that you see there. And then finally we will then fill and leak check the whole loop and get the system up and running, and we're going to use some Mayhem's coolant for that. So we're nearing the end here. Now it's time to get these last few pieces completed so that we can see how this thing operates and then do some benchmarks and see how well it runs. Now first up, what I'm going to go ahead and do is put the backplate on the GTX 780. Now as you can see right there, what you see through all the black and gray and shiny silver is the PCB on the back of that GTX 780. So I think what's going to look better is having a black backplate there, and so you see down here is all black and silver or shiny silver, so I think that's going to look much cleaner. So let me go ahead and put a plate on there and we'll see how that looks. So the backplate screws came in and I've got the backplate installed now. Much cleaner. I think, you know, it's a nice flat black or the gloss black plate. Looks good with the tubing and all the shiny silver in the foreground. So we've got the backplate on the GPU, everything's all tubed up. Finished some more custom cabling, really the last of it. I added a power cable to feed the pump and LEDs. I finished up the power for the GPU, and I'll spin this around so you can get a look at it. So you can see we have the power cables all dressed up here to the graphics card, and power cables coming down from the front panel, and I also added, there's an LED strip that's mounted up underneath here, underneath the front lip that you can't see. It's pretty bright UV LED strip, so that power's also runs down along with this other harness set up into the back. Now there is a lot of power cables that are here feeding everything, and some data cables. But I think that's pretty good. I know this, if you look up close, it looks like it could be probably neater, but I got to tell you, everything is so short and there's not a lot of extra slack to move things around. So I'll try to neaten it up some, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be winding up looking somewhat like that in there. And then down here, I have custom cable that comes out and taps into a splitter, and it's a three-way splitter. So I have the LED strip connected here, then I have one for the pump, and then the other one's going to be for another LED strip if I think I need it. So this is long, but that's so I can service it and access it out here. It'll be tucked up way in the back of the rear of the pedestal, so you won't see this once everything's all ready. So alright, so now I think it's time to fill the loop, and I have decided to use some Mayhem's UV clear blue. This is the Mayhem's X1 concentrate, so that's what's going to go into the system. I've got some empty containers to fill up. I've got some distilled water, and I've got more. Then of course I've got a couple of funnels because I have two reservoirs, and then you see some external power to power the pump. Now if you've watched build log 4 of this series, you know that I already did a leak check of the pump and the tubing that's in the bottom of the pedestal. So if you're first just tuning into this video now and have not seen it, I would recommend going back to watch build log number 4. and actually start at the beginning while you're at it if you haven't seen any of them. But that portion of the loop I know works, so really now the rest of it is all of the acrylic tubing that I've added in the upper portion. Alright, so what I've done is I've removed all the caps from the top of the reservoir so that there's some air. So we got this loop is not sealed up. I've got 2 funnels to pour coolant in so that I can fill both of the reses up, and that way they can start feeding the pump. And then if everything goes well, you know, we'll have coolant coming through that tubing and going up the other side to the hard drives, and then coming back out and coming up this guy here and into this block, then out of the block and into the CPU block and out into the GPU, and then coming out, of course, and returning back to the top here. So what I'm concerned about is making sure there's no leaks, any of these fittings and these joints here. I think I did a fairly good job of making sure the tubing was in far enough and tight. So I have my trusty rag at the ready, and I'm going to mix some coolant now and get a liter of it together and get started here. Alright, so I have the Mayhem's X1 UV Clear Blue. This is a bottle of 250 ml, and this will make 2 liters of the 2 liters of coolant. So I already have here 1 liter, and then I need to just top off this guy here, and I'll have my 2 liters ready to rock and roll. Now, as you can see, well, anyway, up close, it's got about a little tint like ginger ale. Not as dark as ginger ale, but in this container it looks maybe a little bit less clear. But that's what the X1 looks like in its natural state here, without any UV lighting on it. And we will put some UV lighting on it when we get the system together. So what I'm going to do now is start pouring this in to the reservoirs, and then I'll take a look and see. Yeah. If I have any leaks. And I hear things filling up, and there is some coolant already coming out up the bottom pipes there. So you can see gravity is working right now. All right, let's get some more in there. It's not like I don't have a limitation on reservoir here. It just would suck if there was a major leak. Alright, so we have 1 liter into the reservoirs and into the system so far. And I'll give it a turn here so you can see. This is a quick D-stop, D-plug fitting that connects the reservoirs to the bottom tubing system, fitting system. So alright, so let me get this back so you can see, hopefully, coolant maneuvering its way up and through, if everything goes according to Hoyle or plan, whichever way you like to look at it. Okay. Alright, let me get the pump connection here. Now I'm going to go over to the other side of the camera here, and I have the power switch for the outlet that the pump is connected to. So let's see what we get. There we go, we're turning it on now. And I see coolant flowing. And it is moving. Oh, pretty cool. Let me just do a quick check to see if we have any leaks. Alright, at the CPU we're looking good. And At the bottom of the reservoirs we're looking good. I see nothing around here. Let's take a look at everything. Looks good here. No leaks here. This hard disk block is filled up. That's pretty cool. I don't know if you can see that real well, but there's some air bubbles in there. All right, let's turn it on again. All right, well, that 1 liter was enough to fill the loop. And you can see a lot of air, a lot of air bubbles in there flying around. All right, let me turn it off again. One of the things that I think is really cool, oh, it's not working right now. I got to get the pump going really good again. Let me see, there's a lot of air in it. But it was feeding strong enough that it was giving a good stream of coolant down into both reservoirs. Right now, it looks like it's feeding this, favoring the first one. I'm going to add some more coolant. So guys, no leaks. Sorry to disappoint. If you watched my 600T leak show, that was some serious leaks that I had in that system. But this one, knock on wood, so far so good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and crank it back on again. So you would think the path going straight through the Q block, or the T, would give it a pretty steady flow. I guess a lot of it is actually is filling the first one, but that's okay. There's still a lot of air in the loop, so maybe when a lot of that air comes out, we might may not have have that as an issue. All right, so that's that loop filled pretty quickly. There's a lot of bubbles, a lot of air going on in there right now. All right, well, I'm going to let it run for some time now. We'll let the air get out of it, and then we'll take a look around and start working up putting away some cabling and the finishing touches. So I think it's looking good. We still have to take a look at the lighting. Like I said, put a fan in the back there, and I've got a nice grill that I think I want to put on there that our friends at Performance PCs sponsored, along with the fan. So we'll see that up shortly. So let me get the air out of the system, make sure everything's working good there, and then we'll take the next step. Well, it's been running overnight, so that's about 8 hours or so. And all the bubbles, the foam, everything's settled down now. So all we have is just the coolant coming out, and it's very quiet. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I'm going to put the microphone close up by it and see if you can hear it. This is currently, that D5 pump is set on 5, the highest setting. Now I'll move it down by where the pump is in the compartment at the bottom. You should hear just a very quiet hum pretty much. So I will top off the reservoirs here, but I won't do that until I'm satisfied everything else is running good. So right now it's time to tuck away all those cables and get the power connected up as it will be when it's running on its own, and fire it up for the first time. So for that I need to connect up a display and get everything all ready to rock and roll, so we can take a look at the BIOS and make sure everything's recognized and at least the CPU seems to be running cool. So let's get the cables all tucked away in the bottom there and get it ready for its first full-fledged power up. Alright, now it's about time to fire it up. Couple of things to note that during the when I made the 24-pin ATX power cable, I checked that out and I bugged it, and I actually tested it using one of these testers right here. If you don't have one of these things are great. But on the bench I did that, and I actually used that power cable on a test bench with the Seasonic power supply. So that cable I know is good. I did bug out and check the hard drive power cable, and also I bugged out the cable for the PCI Express, although I have never applied power to it. So what I did just before this is I did plug it into the power supply with other stuff disconnected and check to make sure that the voltages were good, because I didn't want to turn on the system and fry that beautiful GTX 780. So I'm confident now that all of this should be good. So hopefully there's no power issues, hopefully there's no problems with the motherboard. I mean, I have also tested that on the test bench if you watch some of my the earlier builds to this. So I think we're good to go. And like I said, the last thing I did is also even use a multimeter on the power connector not plugged into that 780 to make sure that all my power connections. So it's good to triple, quadruple check any power cables that you make. And I did that with all of these. So now I'm going to hit the power button here, and hopefully we get the display and we go into BIOS. Yes. All right. So let's see here. Let me zoom you in, take in a quick look and see what we got on the screen. And we got to take a quick look over here. I can see already one of the digits on that display is out. So that sucks, but I'll have to get another one. The blue one is for the water-cooled temperatures, the coolant, and then the white one is air. So one problem we got to fix. All right, so we have the Intel 3570K, and we have processors for everything stock, and then memory, 16 gig of memory. That's true. However, this memory runs a lot faster than 1333. So what I'm going to do now is go and lean in, and we're going to check the devices to see if it recognizes. I have two Vertex 3 120 gigabyte hard drives, SSDs. So we're going to take a look and see if they're recognized. Let's see, storage configuration, SATA controller enabled, SATA mode HCSI, and we have two Vertexes. Now it does not see the hard drive at Seagate, so I'm going to have to do something about that. So we're going to have to troubleshoot that as well. So maybe the SATA cable is not in the best shape. What else we have? CPU temperature right now is running at about 27. So that sounds about right, because the display looks like it's trying to show a 27.8 or 26 point something actually on the display. Let's see, fans I have on the CPU fan 1 is the fan of the back of the case, and CPU chassis fan 1 is actually all four of the CASE 140 millimeter fans down in the bottom, so they've been running okay. And we got V-core at 1.0, 5.0. All right, so all voltage is looking good. All right, let's move over boot priorities. Right now it's looking to boot off of a Vertex 3, but we're going to put those in RAID. Any hard drive priorities? Again, only the 2s, okay. Alright, so it turns out that the problem with the hard drive not being recognized is because one of the pins on the power cable for the connector that goes into the power supply was loose. And actually when I pushed it into the power supply originally, I didn't have the pin fully seated, so it came out a little bit. So that wasn't too difficult. I was able to do that without any major disassembly, so we're good. We should be good to go now. That drive was recognized, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to load an OS on it. So I'm going to go ahead and get an OS loaded, and then we'll be back. I got to get a new display, make sure everything else is working, and then we'll button this guy up and see what it looks like all with its clothes on, nice and dressed up and ready to rock and roll. Alright, so here she is buttoned up with all the panels on it. Here's a front shot. I was going to, when I turned it on, show you with the UV colors. So we have the UV light in there, and right now in person it looks a little more purple than you see it in the camera. It does have a nice blue tint to it. But like I said, it's a little more purplish. So now let me turn off the light here so you can see what it looks like in the dark. There's a shot from the side. I think she's looking pretty good. What do you guys think? Alright, let me put the lights back on. Now I think with this bright light you can see that even with the UV light on naturally it looks almost clear, because that's the Mayhem's UV X1, but it's a clear blue. So up close, you know, in normal lighting you don't really see any kind of the blue tint at all. So what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to add some Mayhem's. So I think what I want to do is add some Mayhem's blue dye. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of that in now and see how it see how that looks. I think the blue with the blue, some of the blue tints and highlights I have with the sleeving, I think it's going to look good. So when it's in bright light, you'll at least get you know, it'll match a little bit better. Although it looks good, I do like the you know, the clear coolant, and I like the UV color, but the combination of blue with the UV should come out good. So let's see if that's true. It looks nice. It's like a nice blue. And then let's turn off the lights and see what it looks like with a combination of the UV and the blue. So you still get the UV effect. See how that looks? Yeah, it looks good. Alright, so next up I've got to put the front panels in. And what we have here is it's vented, so you'll be able to see through it. And then I have this front grille, and my plan, I don't think I'm going to put any fans in it so that you can actually see everything. Let's see what you can see with the lights off. Well, you can see through it. But you can see those you can see the fan mounts, and you can just make out the tubes in the back there. Let's try something a little bit different. How about that? Got a piece of plexi that I custom fit and modded to put inside that guy. So I think you got to show off those reservoirs. You can't have them hiding behind any kind of screen or anything. I mean, that's the big, you know, that's the prominent feature in this case, is those dual reses. So, and actually that plexi is so clear. I mean, you can see the reflection of some of the studio lighting. And if I turn this other one in here, you definitely will see. You should see it. But I think that's now you notice there is no fan controller in this system. The 4 Akasa Apache Black 140mm fans, there's 2 on each of the Alpha Cool 60T radiators, pushing from left to right. They are all wired to an Alpha Cool fan splitter. It's a PWM fan splitter that then comes up to the motherboard, and it goes into a PWM connection on the motherboard. So there is no fan controller in this layout. And then of course the other thing that you typically see on a fan controller are temperatures, and I have the XSPC temperature probes and sensors displayed here. The blue one is for the temperature of the coolant in the rods or in the loop, and that probe, actually that thermal probe, is in the last port of the rad before after it's been cooled by both of the rads and it's coming out. So that's the temperature of the coolant in the loop after it's been cooled down by the radiators. And then the bottom one is the ambient temp inside of the case. It's positioned right in the middle of the 2 reservoirs in the cable bundle. The other thing that I did is, since the airflow is brought in from this side of the case and then exhausts out the other side, I added a Dmc filter. This is you know, for 240 millimeter fans or radiator, and it is magnetic with a magnetic plate that you adhere to. So if it's, since this is aluminum, I needed to use the adhesive, and so that's on there, and I just snap this in place, and then I can clean out the filter easily when I need to. Well guys, for now the only thing left to do is run some benchmarks. I have the system overclocked to 4.6 with 1.25 volts, I believe is what I have on that 3570K. And so we'll get some benchmarks between the stock and overclock settings, and put them up on the screen for you to see. The Vertex 3s in RAID 0, they ran a little bit faster. Under Crystal Dismark, it was actually a little bit slower with the overclock. The Seagate hard drive also a little bit slower. I'm not sure why with the overclock. Cinebench with the processor significantly faster with the overclock, 6.43. OpenGL 54 definitely a little bit faster with the overclock. 3D Mark Firestrike was quite a bit faster with the 4.6 overclock. Resident Evil score was a little bit higher. Unigine Valley significantly more frames per second with the overclock. And then to give you an idea of temperature, 32 degrees C at 79% load, 34 degrees C at 81% load, and 82% load with 36, so running cool. Well guys, that's it. I hope you liked this video. I did enjoy building this system, although it did take some time. I do have a full-time job and other builds and repairs and stuff that I do on the side. And I did some reviews as well that took some time, but had the summertime and a lot of family stuff going on, so this one just took a little bit longer than I had originally planned, but I think it came out good. I hope you guys liked it. This system was a lot of fun to build, and you know, it kind of developed because thanks to CASE Labs for providing the you know, the pedestal. I got a bunch of the options. It came together a little bit differently. Originally I had planned to put a you know, 2 fans in the front there with a Lambtron silver fan controller, but when I got into the build and decided to go with 2 reses, they pretty much are the signature part of this build, I think. You know, those 2 Bits Power Multi-Z 250 milliliter rads, I mean reservoirs, they really stand out, and I think to cover them up and block them is not the best. So I went ahead and put that plexiglass in the front. You know, this is a Min-ITX rig, but it's definitely got some monster cooling in it, and thank goodness for the pedestal, as I have the 2 Alpha Cool UT60s in the bottom there with some you know, 4 140 millimeter fans plus the pumps down there, and there's a bunch of you know, Bits Power fittings connecting it together. So you know, that space allowed me the luxury to put those 2 big resins in the top there and make it pretty clean. So anyway, that's the way it turned out. I never had a name for it, although the blue coolant and the silver case kind of reminds me of the Silver Surfer. So I'm going to look for some decal or some Silver Surfer related stuff and see if it won't look too gaudy if I put them in there. But anyway, that's I'm open to any other names if you guys have them. I'm going to be posting up a bunch of pictures and putting them on Facebook, so you can always connect to my Ron's and Nut Facebook page if you want to see more of the detail as the system or any of my systems or reviews are coming along. I post them there, so I'll put the link down in the video description here, and so you know, you get to see more because there is more coming. But anyway, I want to thank CASE Labs for sponsoring this case. I really appreciate it. Very humbled that they've continued to allow me to get a case to be able to show you and put a build in there. And by the way, Performance PCs carries these Mercury S3 cases, so They have some ready in stock. You don't have to wait for Case Labs to make it for you. There's a bunch of them that Performance PCs has in stock, and you know, that's where I get almost all of my water cooling components, all of the rads, the fans, and everything in this build. The reservoirs all came from Performance PCs. It's my one-stop shop, and they pretty much have everything that I've needed for my builds. And they actually sponsored the fans and the unique fan grill that I use in the back. That's an MPC Tech fan grill that they have in stock, and a lot of the fittings. I mean, pretty much just about everything except for the motherboard and the video card I had. So yep, that's it. Performance PCs. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Hank and the team. Thank you very much for always having the stuff and getting it out to me when I needed it. You guys have been great. So thanks, Performance PCs, for sponsoring and for just being there, for having the inventory and the wide selection they have to take care of my water cooling needs. And then also, last but certainly not least, Promethean Mutations. Ben there was kind enough to sponsor the UV LED strip, and he does more than just you know, LED strips. He also does a lot of custom cabling as well. So if you want, if you're interested in any of that, does great work, and I'll put the link as well in the video description. So anyway, so I hope you guys like this video. Stay tuned for more. If you did like it, please like and favorite. And like I said, if you want to see more, please subscribe, because I've got a upgrade of my CASE LABS STH-10 rig. That's my main rig that I do all of my most of my video rendering. It's also a massive gaming system, but that guy has had a couple issues, so I brought him down here to the bench area, and I will be upgrading him. So stay tuned for that video. And then I also have another case that I'll be doing a build in shortly as well. So stay tuned. That's about it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. That's it from Ron's a Nut.